everyone, my name is Rachel. I'm from grade 9.2, number 21, and now I'm gonna tell you a story by myself. The title is Shun and Raccoons. So without any further ado, let's begin the story. It's another morning with the sunlight sneaking from the bedroom window, disturbed the little boy deep sleep who was starting to muster up his will to wake up. His little hand scratched his eyes, which were still adjusting to the light around him. The winter wind stirred his messy but cute sleepy hair. Miyamura Shun, the only child and grandson of the Miyamura family who was born 5 years ago. Shun like animal, as evidenced by the decoration in his room, which filled with toys, pictures, and dolls that full of fauna. His parents once gave him another toy, like robots or car, but he still chose all of his collection of animal toys. Good morning, Shun. The voice of the old woman greeted Shun's ears. Grandma, what you doing here? He asked with a little surprise as he hugged his grandmother. His grandmother laughed and hugged back. Grandma wants to take you on vacation. What do you think, Shun? Shun's eyes lit up with happiness and nodded his little head with a sweet smile. Shun wants to! A blue Morris arrived at an old house with a garden around it, quite a bit far from countryside, but more closer to the forest. Shun's yellow shoes touched the slightly long grass. Then he came down with a lion doll which he held tightly in his left hand while his right hand held his grandmother's hand. Wow, your house is huge, Shun said. Do you like it? The grandmother asked the little boy and looked at her grandson who was looking around her house. And without saying any words, Shun nodded his head excitedly, making his grandmother smile at her grandson's behavior. Thanks God, she said softly, while her grandson was still busy looking around at the forest next to his grandmother's big house, full of towering trees and dense green leaves and bushes. Dimly, he saw something under the bushes. It shaped as a cat, but bigger than a cat. The ears also a bit wide. Its fur colored brown with white color around the top of his eyes. It's definitely not a cat. So Shun asked his grandmother about that animal. Ah, it's a raccoon, Shun. They're fishes. You shouldn't be close to them, okay? His grandmother warned him. Shun nodded and said yes, with a little disappointed. In the afternoon, Shun's grandmother asked Shun to have lunch. Shun nodded and ran after his grandmother into the kitchen, then sat down on one of the chairs and began to eat rapidly, with his eyes looking at the window. Has the raccoon had its lunch? What does it eat? Did it like fried chicken? Many questions popped in his little mind. Grandma, can Shun have one more chicken? He asked after eating his lunch, causing a smile from his grandmother's and nod. Shun smiled, thanked the old woman, and took one fried chicken out of the house, making his grandma shake her head seeing her grandson's behavior. Shun kept running towards the bushes and saw the raccoon was still there, still on his tight sleep. Shun walked slowly toward the raccoon with a smile on his face. Hello, Yo-ho! Shun said. But there was no response from the raccoon at all. He's still at the same position without even looking at the Shun. Out of curiosity, Shun walked closer and tried to greet the raccoon again. But what he got is nothing. The raccoon still at the same position without responding to the little boy. Then, Shun handed the raccoon a fried chicken that he brought. Shun had a fried chicken for And suddenly, the raccoon grabbed the fried chicken in Shun's hand, making Shun choke and slightly giggle. "Wow, it looks like Mr. Raccoon is hungry, huh?" he said, but the raccoon only focused on the fried chicken. Shun couldn't help but smile, so he tried to get closer. After feeling close enough, Shun asked the raccoon, "Can Shun touch your tail, Mr. Raccoon?" Which was responded with a small hiss from the raccoon's mouth and sharp as the rope. Shun became a little scared and walked away in fear while persuading the raccoon that he won't do anything, accompanied by a clumsy smile, and was replied by the "don't care" expression from the raccoon. "Mr. Raccoon is very gorgeous. Why did Grandma say that I can be close to the raccoon?" "To know, kid, don't ask me. Don't disrupt me and my fried chicken." Shun piped down, shocked, trying to process what he heard earlier. "Eh? Mr. Raccoon can talk?" he asked. "So what? You better go now before that old woman looking for you," the raccoon replied arrogantly. Shun nodded after hearing that. Yeah, then he ran to his grandmother's house. "See you tomorrow, Mr. Raccoon," Shun shouted from afar, waving at the raccoon. Meanwhile, the raccoon rolled his eyes, then went into the bushes. "What a word, kiddo," said the raccoon as it continued to enter the bushes, entering an area in the forest that consisted of many raccoons in it. Tanaka was greeted by the swarm of raccoons eating a lot of fruit. One raccoon from the crowd named Kashima saw a silhouette of Tanaka coming out of the bushes. "Hey Tanaka, come and eat with us. Yoko and Yami get a lot of fruit earlier," Kashima shouted at his friend. "No thanks, I'll pass," he answered without stopping his steps or even saying at Kashima. Kashima was confused, because as far as he knew, Tanaka hadn't eaten anything since this morning. "What did you eat earlier?" he asked again. "Why are you so curious?" Tanaka replied curtly. "Hey, watch your mouth, dude!" Kashima's eyebrow dropped as his mouth burst as he stared at his hot-mouthed friend who had passed away. "Tra-la-la-la-la, EDGAF," said Tanaka, leaving Kashima with a passionate emotion. On the next day, Tanaka went back to sleep in the same place, took a deep breath, enjoying the peaceful afternoon, until something stepped on his tail. "Ouch, my tail!" Tanaka screamed in pain. "See that? Shun, the person who stepped on Tanaka's tail, apologized repeatedly." Tanaka could only hold back his anger while looking for another sleeping position. "What are you doing here?" he said while closing his eyes. No reason," Shun just smiled clumsily while he stretching his cheek. "If you bring something that can fill my stomach, I'll let you hear." "Oh, Shun bring grapes. You want it?" Without saying any word, Tanaka snatched the bunch of purple fruits from Shun's hand. "Just call me Tanaka, and thank you," he said, still busy with the fruits in front of his eyes. Shun nodded happily and took a seat next to Tanaka, who was still busy eating the fruits, and silence was created between the two living beings. "What are you doing here?" Tanaka started the conversation. "I thought that I already told you. There is no particular reason," Shun repeated. Tanaka shook his head. "No, I mean, you seem from the city," guessed Tanaka. "Oh, that's true. I'm from Shibuya City." "Then, why did you come here? As far as I know, they're all in the city." "Vacation! Shun's school on holiday. Shun also wants to accompany Grandma." "Oh, yeah. It's getting dark. You better go back to your grandmother," Tanaka said as he left Shun behind. again tomorrow, Tanaka-san?" Shun asked with his innocent face. Tanaka just looked at Shun with his lazy gaze. "It's up to you," he answered briefly as he walked away from the little man who was beaming and thanked him repeatedly. This time, Tanaka arrived at his residence with the raccoons sitting staring at the one of the old raccoons they used to call Kaicho. By the way, Kaicho meaning is president in Japanese language. Yeah, so take me later. While complaining about something, Tanaka, who already knew what was happening, just walked away, avoiding the gazes of the other raccoons. But this time, his plan was cancelled by a female raccoon named Shoko, who called him, making all the raccoons' gaze turn to him, which made him have to sit together. And the conversation was continued by Huta. "Humans are getting outrageous. All the trees have been cut down on Mount Kira. Mount Asama is now full of buried lands. Yesterday, there was a fire in the forest of the mountain of Aino. What should we do now, Kaicho? It's almost winter and we haven't had enough food yet." All the raccoons got silent after Asuma spoke, waiting for the opinion from the Kaicho. "We better destroy all humans right now," said a raccoon named Toneri loudly. They all looked at Toneri and some nod in agreement. "Toneri sounds right. I agree. Same here." Tanaka, who heard that, just rolled his eyes with his arm crossed. "Who are you deciding what you want, huh?" he asked lazily. "This is for the sake of the tanuki." Okay, give me a second. So, tanuki is raccoon in Japanese, but if you search on internet, tanuki can be another species of raccoon, like dog raccoon from Japan. Yeah, like that. Okay, let's continue. His life. We don't have to discuss it because it was the only way out. Who becomes like he knows everything. Tanaka mocked Toneri with a little chuckle. "Speak one more time, Tanaka, and I'll punch your scum face." Toneri intimidated Tanaka. "Watch me if you can," Tanaka answered, making Toneri cranky and prepared to punch Tanaka. "Chill out, you two. Kaicho is still here." Another raccoon named Soyo interceded for the two of them. Everyone returned to silence with their gaze directed to Kaicho, waiting for the Kaicho's answer about this case. Toneri, your idea is brilliant, but you better think twice before coming up with an idea. Humans also provide us with food, so don't just annihilate them." Toneri could only nod at Kaicho's opinion. "Ha! Use your ears, idiot," Tanaka smirked. Toneri, who could not stand the behavior of Tanaka, was ready to beat him. "Come here, you dumb Tanaka!" And there was a fight between the two raccoons. The fight ended after Huta calms the Toneri down, leaving Tanaka with multiple wounds to his face. Now, Shoko is treating Tanaka at her house. Shoko's hand continued to smear medicine all over Tanaka's face, which was full of wounds. "Tanaka, you have to be careful with Toneri. Toneri's fighting ability is very strong now." "I don't care," Tanaka said. Shoko was quiet as she shook her head at the behavior of her friend. Tanaka spent all day with Shun. Sometimes they explored the village, looking for fruits, catching crickets, and to take naps together in the middle of shady forest, enjoying the breeze and the sound of leaves colliding. And then at night they went back to their home with dirty clothes and full stomach. Tanaka began to rarely chit-chat with his raccoon's friend. Commonly, he would go back to the raccoon's residence before night, but now he always come in uncertain. This made Toneri got close to Tanaka. Therefore, he planned to follow him behind. When he saw Tanaka was about to start getting ready and then slowly followed Tanaka, and they stopped when Tanaka sat like a guardian dog waiting for his master. Toneri waited for a long time, but no one approached Tanaka. He was waiting profusely because the sun was already at the top of his head, and the bushes meant he was not free to move. About 10 minutes later, Toneri decided to give up and go from here. When he started to move, he heard a child approaching Tanaka, so Toneri decided to sit there for a while.